Have you ever longed to be a person of profound inner stillness? Someone for whom criticism, rejection, loss, or betrayal are not crippling blows, but mere ripples on the surface of a deep and tranquil ocean. Do you ever dream of a day when the quiet ache inside, the anguish that gnaws at you, even as you wear a mask of composure for the world, will finally cease? Perhaps you are weary of the constant performance, of the relentless effort to please everyone and uphold an image of perpetual strength, when, in truth, all you've ever craved is a moment's respite from the crushing weight of appearing untouchable. But allow me to share a truth that few have the courage to voice. So long as you dedicate your life to avoiding pain, pain will remain your master. So long as you seek to numb yourself, to build walls, to retreat into hiding, you will be a prisoner to the world around you, a hostage to the words that wound you, the actions that disillusion you, and the silences that suffocate your spirit. This is not a failing. It is the human condition. The only distinction lies in how convincingly some of us play pretend. Carl Jung, a titan of depth psychology, taught that we are not defined by our experiences, but by the choices we make in response to them. Herein lies the very essence of our power. The goal is not to become armored against the world. It is not to grow cold, detached, or impervious. The goal is to integrate. It is to bring all the things that presently wound you in darkness into the clarifying light of consciousness. For true power is not the absence of suffering, but the courageous awareness of who you are, even as you bleed. If you are hearing these words now, it is no accident. This message is for you, the one who is tired of being wounded by everything and everyone. It is for you who feels perpetually at an emotional deficit, as if others wield a mysterious power over your inner world. I am here to show you another way is possible, but it will require you to confront certain truths that may sting. And yet, for the very first time, this pain may be the thing that sets you free. Let us begin. Do you believe the source of your pain is external, that it lies in the careless actions of others, in their ill-chosen words, in the abandonments you've endured, in the betrayals you never saw coming? The truth is far more stark. None of these things possess the inherent power to harm you, unless a pre-existing wound already festers within. What pains you is not what is done to you. It is what those external events activate inside of you. It is the narrative you weave around the experience. It is the echo of an old trauma left unhealed. It is the void you camouflage with a facade of strength, of pride, of a desperate need to appear invulnerable. Jung reveals that the pain we experience from the outside world is but a mirror reflecting what remains unintegrated within our inner landscape. This explains why one person can navigate a devastating storm and retain their bearings, while another is shattered by a single thoughtless comment. It is never about the event itself. It is about where the impact lands. And here lies a difficult truth. You continue to suffer so intensely because, on some level, you still believe you can dictate how the world ought to treat you. You are caught in a cycle of trying to be good enough, clever enough, resilient enough, or benevolent enough, as if these qualities could ever grant you immunity from being hurt. But control is a fantasy, and to the extent that you grasp for it, you condemn yourself to a life of constant tension, forever attempting to foresee the unforeseeable and sidestep the unavoidable. Do you wish to stop suffering? Then you must stop trying to shield yourself from it. What you require is not more control, but deeper awareness. As long as you believe that others must change for your pain to cease, you will remain a slave to their actions. Your freedom begins the moment you realize that nothing from the outside has power over you unless it finds a resonant frequency within. This is the true arena of conflict, the unconscious. That which you cannot see, cannot comprehend, and cannot integrate is precisely what controls you, and this is the territory we will now explore. Prepare yourself to go one layer deeper, for that is where real transformation is born. If this message is resonating with you, please click the subscribe button and join our community. Your support is deeply appreciated. The greatest deception you have accepted as truth is that you are the conscious architect of your life. It is time to awaken, because you are not. Not so long as you operate on autopilot, reacting without reason, feeling without understanding the source, and making choices that you invariably undermine. Carl Jung stated it with piercing clarity: until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. This is the dynamic playing out in your life at this very moment. The pain that surfaces, the anger that erupts unexpectedly, the sorrow that descends without warning, none of it is arbitrary. These are all dispatches from the parts of yourself that have been exiled, ignored, and suppressed. Jung called this shadowed realm the unconscious. It is not some nebulous collection of thoughts. It is a potent, active system of memories, traumas, desires, and fears that you actively avoid, yet which continue to dictate your feelings and actions. You ask why certain words can dismantle you while others remain indifferent. It is because those words strike a nerve, a sensitive point within you that remains raw and unhealed. And it is raw because you have never truly faced it. You have merely swept it under the rug of your psyche, and now you stumble over it again and again. As Jung said, we cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. What has been your strategy? Self-judgment, repression, self-silencing, as if burying the problem would ever solve it. The reality is that the unconscious does not vanish through neglect. It simply finds more insidious channels for expression, through the toxic relationships you replay, the self-sabotaging patterns you cannot escape, and the anxieties that ambush you when life seems to be going well. This is not misfortune. This is your unconscious attempting to signal you, but you are determined to remain asleep. Do you want to become someone who is no longer so easily hurt? Then you must cease running from what lies within. So long as you remain a stranger to your own unconscious, you will be a puppet dancing on the strings of your emotions. And the more you try to protect yourself from external pain, the more exposed you become to the agony within. But there is an escape, and it is not found in defense. It is found in integration. Becoming untouchable is not an act of resistance. It is an act of profound self-knowledge. This is what we will examine next. What does it truly mean to be unshakable? And why does this strength arise not from armor, but from radical acceptance? Let us proceed. The majority of people believe the only path to not getting hurt is to shut down. They erect walls, craft personas, and assemble emotional armor, all while pretending that nothing can touch them. They declare, "I don't care anymore. It means nothing to me." But on the inside, the bleeding continues. The internal corrosion deepens. Because the issue was never the feeling itself. The issue is not understanding what you are feeling and why. And this is the exclusive predicament of those who do not yet know themselves. Jung was unequivocal when he said, "Know all the theories, master all the techniques. But as you touch a human soul, be just another human soul." And that very human soul, the one you insist on concealing behind a character of strength, invulnerability, and control, is crying out to be acknowledged. Becoming emotionally resilient has nothing to do with becoming cold. It has no connection to ignoring pain, sidestepping conflict, or feigning indifference. It is about integration, acceptance, and bringing everything you've buried in the shadows into the light. You do not become untouchable by erecting a barrier between you and the world. You become untouchable when you understand that nothing external can wound what has already been embraced within. When you integrate your shadows, your fears, your imperfections, your insecurities, you cease to be reactive. You become an observer. You become a choice maker. You are no longer an emotional marionette. And that is the definition of freedom. Jung called this the process of individuation, the journey of becoming who you authentically are, not who others demand you to be, nor who you constructed yourself to be in exchange for acceptance. It is about what emerges from within, from the sacred meeting of your light and your shadow, your ego and your unconscious. Individuation is not a journey toward perfection, Jung noted, but toward completeness. You do not need to be a better person. You simply need to become a whole one. And here is the secret you were never told. The more you flee from pain, the more relentlessly it pursues you. The more you try to be unaffected, the more brittle you become. But when you turn to face your own wounds, when you accept the totality of who you are, the beautiful and the ugly, the noble and the shameful, nothing outside of you retains the power to unmake you. This path, however, demands courage. The courage to look inward, the courage to shed the masks, the courage to feel. Because it is within the heart of pain that the key to your transformation lies hidden. And that is what we will uncover next. How suffering, far from being your adversary, can become the very portal to your true strength. Let us venture deeper, this time without fear. You were conditioned to despise pain. From childhood, you were taught that suffering signals weakness, that tears are a waste of time, and that to feel deeply is to be vulnerable. And so, you started to run, to avoid and to deny. But the more you run from suffering, the more it gives chase. And worse, it shapeshifts. It masquerades as anxiety, as rage, as apathy, as boredom, as self-destructive urges whose origins you cannot trace. Ignored pain never dies. It simply carves tunnels within you until one day, without warning, the entire structure gives way. Jung perceived suffering from a radically different perspective. He saw it as a messenger from the soul, an alarm bell from the unconscious, the very language that the self, your total being, uses to command your attention. He famously said, "Depression is like a lady in black. If she appears, do not send her away. Invite her in, offer her a seat, treat her as a guest, and listen to what she has to say." But you do not listen. You medicate, you distract, you stay busy, you numb yourself. You do anything and everything to avoid looking at what truly matters. What is this pain trying to show you? The truth is, suffering is only so agonizing because you are at war with yourself. A part of you is yearning for growth, while another part desperately clings to the familiar. Something within you is crying out for transformation, but your ego, accustomed to its perceived control, tries to silence that call. Pain is born from this internal friction. Because change is painful, growth is painful, releasing old beliefs, severing toxic connections, and allowing what no longer serves you to die. All of this is a form of grief, an inner cycle of death and rebirth. Yet it is precisely in this landscape of ruin that something new can be born. Because when your internal structures are deconstructed, when your certainties dissolve, when pain strips you down to your most vulnerable core, you can finally see yourself as you are, without the protective layers, without the performance, without the mask. And in that very moment, suffering becomes sacred, because it forces you to your knees before the only power that can truly liberate you, your own self. Jung understood this. He knew that suffering is not a system failure. It is an integral part of the process. Pain is not the destination. It is the beginning of the journey toward individuation. The tragedy is that most people abandon the quest before they have crossed the dark valley. They retreat, they distract, They return to the shallows, but not you. If you have come this far, you are ready to make the crossing. In the next section, we will explore how this passage unfolds, how the path of individuation, as solitary and brutal as it may feel, is what will ultimately set you free. Let's continue. The journey deepens now. Few possess the courage to embark on the journey of individuation, and fewer still have the fortitude to see it through. This is because the path offers no promises of comfort. It provides no guarantees. It does not coddle your ego, it shatters it. Jung described individuation as the process of becoming authentically yourself. But this primarily means unlearning who you think you are. And that process is more painful than any external rejection, because you begin to see that so much of your identity was a carefully constructed illusion. You are not your accomplishments. You are not your wounds. You are not the persona you engineered to be loved, respected, or admired. All of that was a survival strategy. But to survive is not to live. And individuation is the soul's call to move beyond mere survival. It begins when the unconscious starts to push to the surface all that has been repressed, hidden, and denied. Individuation demands the dissolution of the persona, which Jung called a mask of collective convenience. In other words, you must be willing to tear away your own skin to discover what lies beneath. It is through this harrowing process that you begin to become untouchable, not because nothing can affect you anymore, but because you have already walked through your own inner fire. You have confronted your own demons. You have looked your own shame, your own neediness, your own rage in the eye and said, "I see you, and you no longer have dominion over me." This inner clarity, this lucidity in the face of your own darkness grants you a strength that is independent of approval, recognition, or control. You no longer require universal love. You no longer need to win every battle. You no longer have to project an image of strength, because you know who you are, and that is something no one can ever take from you. The true emotional shield is not an outer shell. It is an inner core. It is the integration of all your fragmented parts into a center of consciousness that remains steady, even when the storms rage. You might still feel pain, but it no longer breaks you. You might get hurt, but you do not lose yourself. You have ceased to be reactive and have become whole. You have stopped living on the surface and have started to inhabit your own depths. This depth, however, comes with a price, a sense of solitude. Not because you will be physically alone, but because very few can accompany you on this journey. Most remain trapped in the shallows, in their masks, in their fear of feeling. As you begin to liberate yourself, you will inevitably create distance. But this is not an act of rejection. It is an act of maturation. You do not pull away out of pride, but because you no longer fit in the small spaces where you once hid. This leads us to the final stage of our journey, consciousness as the ultimate shield. Because it is not brute strength that protects you, it is clarity. This is what we will explore in our final part. How consciousness is the only state in which nothing, absolutely nothing, holds power over you. Let us complete this crossing together. We are nearly home. Now that you have journeyed this far, let this be stated with absolute clarity. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever shield you from the pains of the world if you remain unconscious of what is happening within you. The words will still cut. The rejections will still burn. The losses will still bring you to your knees until you choose to awaken. And awakening is not a singular, mystical event. It is a moment-to-moment choice. It is the choice to look within, even when it is painful. It is the choice to take ownership of every feeling, without blaming others, the past, or destiny. As Carl Jung taught, what you resist persists. What you accept transforms. You have spent a lifetime resisting. The fear of inadequacy, the void of rejection, the ache of loneliness, the anguish of being unseen. And what did you do with it all? You hid it. You silenced it. You tried to control everything around you. You strived for perfection. You performed strength. And all of those efforts have led you to this point. Depleted. Weary of fighting a war against both the world and yourself. But now you know the truth. True emotional immunity is not hardness. It is lucidity. It is not about building armor. It is about expanding awareness. Because when you finally understand your triggers, your patterns, and your wounds, the actions of others lose their power to destroy you. You still feel, but you are no longer submerged. You still suffer, but you no longer lose your way. And that changes everything. The thing that shields you is not your defense against life. It is your deep immersion in it. Those who skate on the surface are capsized by every wave. Those who dive deep know that beneath the turmoil lies a profound silence, a stability, and a power. That is your destination. And when you begin to live from this place of integration, of presence, of acceptance, the world can still try to strike you, but it will no longer find a target. The journey inward is a choice. If this video has helped you make that choice, solidify it now. Write, "I am the architect," in the comments below. In the next video, we turn these ideas into action. I will show you a practical first step to stop being controlled by your emotions. To make sure you don't miss that, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.